Cheers, mate. The cavalry's here.
That's my line. Let's try that again. Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
A podcast where we keep watch over Overwatch. This is The Cavalry.
What's up, nerds, and welcome back to The Cavalry, the show in which we keep watch over Overwatch. And this is episode number 92, and I am Slambo, also known as Matt Zorns, and we are getting up there in our episode count, but we are not in any short supply of Overwatch news and information this week, even though, as someone said just moments ago, it is kind of the calm before the storm, if you will. But let's get to that person who said that. Let's welcome in my co-host, the only person joining me today, Mel Arena, also known as Melissa Schisler. Mel, what's up?
Oh, it's so nice to be on here all by myself without somebody else.
Did you feel like, we didn't plan it this way, but last week was essentially like stepdad and stepson. And this week it's stepdad and stepdaughter, if you will, where you are making, your return from your hiatus. And, anyway, do you feel better? Are you feeling fine?
Yes, I feel much better now. I feel like you couldn't show favoritism, even though we all know it's me. But, just to keep things even, we had to kick Tank out.
Yeah, and I'm not going to fall for that trap. Let me tell you right now. I'm not going to be tricked into that. I'm not going to fall for that any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, it's good that you're back, but again, we're missing Tank. Why is he not here? Why do we not have him? Well, Tank, unfortunately, work happens, and sometimes I don't know if we should even use the word, if I should be saying his business, but the word audit came up. Anytime you hear that word and relates to anything, whether it's from the IRS or for your work, it's generally not a very pleasing time. So we're just going to give Tank some space and make sure he's got everything he needs to, make it through the week. And then he has to be here next week because episode 93 is kind of our BlizzCon primer, if you will. So we definitely are going to want him back by then. Right, Mel?
Woohoo. Yeah. And then we'll be at BlizzCon.
Okay. So before I was about to say something nice about Tank, but let's definitely cut to what you just said.
Yeah, move past that.
And we're going to BlizzCon, and I don't really want to. I guess I'm gonna say this is that I didn't really have a ticket 100% secured. I tried both times, failed, did not get a ticket, but I just knew that between all my friends, my podcasting friends, someone out there would get a media pass, or I would use Looking for BlizzCon. I had a couple friends with some lifelines out there. But I'm happy to say that we did secure it. I'm going to talk about who got me that ticket. And with that, I'm also going to give them the community content shout out because they're a podcaster. Like I said, they got a media pass. It's a World of Warcraft show. But I definitely want to make sure I give them their fair due of respect and thanks and gratitude and shout them out as much as we can. So next week, the primer to BlizzCon will be my thank you to that individual. And, anyway, give you some proper cavalry love here, if you will. Anyway, Mel, we are here to talk about Overwatch. And like I said, we're going to talk about BlizzCon a lot next episode. So we will be breaking down a lot. But let's just go ahead and move to...
Prepare for operations.
In our opening discussion, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts because you were not here last week for episode 92. It was a shorter episode. I was not feeling well. Tank was not feeling well. It was kind of a compressed episode. But we wanted to hear what your thoughts were on the Halloween event. If you got a chance to Junkenstein's and what skins are standing out to you. So, not much time here, but just kind of what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I did play it, I think, once, maybe twice. The new Mercy changes came out too, so it's been kind of a toss-up on which one I try to do. But yeah, I love Junkenstein's Revenge. I think it's the best one. I haven't played the Endless mode yet. I've just played the regular one. But I played Soldier.
Do you know what Endless is, though? Hold on, I'm gonna get back to that Soldier question. But Endless, it's the same thing, obviously, with Endless Waves, but there's more heroes available. So there's Zenyatta. I don't know if you like it more than Ana, but there's a second healer option. Anyway, so you said you played Soldier, though. Is that kind of your go-to when you go to Junkenstein's? Is that what you're looking forward to?
Soldier or Ana, just not Hanzo.
Just Hanzo? No, but
yeah.
McCree? You can make McCree work if you have to?
Probably not pretty.
Okay, but you could. But Hanzo for sure is like, bar none, the worst.
Probably not going to hit anything with Hanzo. I could, at least ult with McCree and hit a few things, so that's cool.
Yeah, like as soon as those heroes spawn, you press Q on McCree, you at least feel, you get some gratitude there for sure. Gratification, forgive me. And gratitude from your teammates, so that wasn't wrong either. Right. And then additionally...
I will say, Bobby out-damaged me on Hanzo when I was on Soldier, so that was a little depressing.
You two are too competitive. Like, you don't have to, like... He has to, like, make sure people know. The fact that it's so close with his wife all the time, that should be a statement right in and of itself, okay? It shouldn't be this close, Bob. I'm just kidding. But I don't know. Anyway, Bobby's hilarious. We haven't got a chance to get all together, though, and play. My times to play are very compressed. Like, when my baby goes to bed, I'll maybe grab a couple of games, but, it's tough. It's tough to get the matches in right now. But anyway, sorry, we're derailing this, and you were talking about the Mercy changes. We're getting off topic. So you played the Junkensteins. We talked about that. What about the skins? Were there any skins that we would put in the have-to-have circle, or are there a couple that are kind of in the nice-to-have? But what do you got skin-wise?
I definitely want the Ana skin. I love the pirate Ana skin with the little parrot. I think that's really cute.
Yeah.
I never play Zarya, but I have to get the 80s skin.
Totally.
It's magnificent. And that's really the only ones that I really want. I think they're all pretty good. I think they did a good job this time of making them all pretty decent skins.
Yeah, no, I think so too. There was a big community outcry for the fact that Zarya or Ana both had not gotten legendary skins in any of the events. They've always had epic, purple quality skins, but they've never had legendary. So I guess this time there was definitely some intention to make sure they got them, and I think they nailed it with both. The parrot is so cute. We talked about that last week. And then I said that the Symmetra skin, even though I don't play her all the time, is a must-have for me. And the Zenyatta skin, another hero that, and after, by the way, I haven't even got the Zenyatta skin yet. I played Zenyatta, and I wrecked in Masters games. I was like, "Oh, this is what? It's like a DPS." And I always knew that. I know what Zenyatta is, but I just never got to connect with him. And finally, I really am connecting with him, and he's a blast.
Yeah, he's really mean if you have a good Zenyatta too. It's really annoying, and I just walk out there and I'm like, why is everybody dying so quickly? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's amazing. So all right, so overall, any major complaints with the Halloween event? Anything you'd like more of, you'd like to see less of, or anybody that got shafted with a skin opportunity?
Well, there's no Mercy skin, so that was depressing, but yeah, it's fine. I'm already in my witch skin. I don't need anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, the witch skin was kind of I think the most popular skin last event. Everyone, even people that didn't play Mercy, had to have the witch, and there's a few people that play Mercy and didn't get it. So, I think she got her glory last event, Mel.
Okay, I can be selfish and want it to happen every time.
That's fair. I really wanted to see, someone mentioned it on Reddit. It's not my idea. I don't know who, I can't give credit to the person, but it was a Cinderella diva with a pumpkin mech. I was like, yeah, like a Disney princess with the pumpkin carriage mech. I was like, sign me up. That's an opportunity that was missed.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll definitely not just do a whole Halloween segment here. I just wanted to check in with Mel. We missed her thoughts, and we wanted to find out more. So with that, though, we've got a lot to talk about. Even though you saw me shuffle some stuff just now, we got a lot to talk about still. So let's get to it.
When I'm pushing the payload, I get my news from the cavalry.
And shout out to Juggernaut in the Discord. He says that triggers him. The end boss doing the Reinhardt voice. He says it's terrible. And usually my instinct as like someone who works on the show is let's fix that. Let's make it so someone's not triggered. But for some reason, I kind of like that it triggers him. I'm going to keep doing it. So I don't know why. It's kind of our nature here on the Cavalry. But we do have some news. We get our news from the Cavalry. And Mel, I'm going to let you lead with this one because it's just spectacular. This is it's a spectacular article.
Right? Did you watch it?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, this is amazing.
Oh my gosh. So they came out with this new Chinese mobile game that Blizzard's suing them because if you watch this video of this guy going through this mobile game, it's literally the same moves, the exact same maps. They like switch the sex of the hero, so they think that that's like the appropriate way to not plagiarize the material. It is insane.
I love it. I don't know. Every time I see this stuff, it makes me smile. I mean, it's I know there's been like other ones in the past where Totem had said that. We've seen like Facebook games that have popped up, and even like the Arthas's sword in someone else's hand. We've seen their images stolen before, but this one just to me was kind of a combination of so bad that it's good in a way, and I just loved it, man. I just was soaking it up, and I really just enjoyed this one. So I'm glad.
I agree.
I'm glad you found it.
I think it's hilarious that they even thought that there was a chance that they would get away with that. Like
I don't even know. I guess I don't understand the economy over there, so I wonder what the play is. Like, are they actually trying to make something that's going to pass as a freaking game? Or are they trying to just do that and get lawsuits started? Or are they trying to... I don't know. Like, there's got to be another fold to the economic purpose of making those type of games, because you're right. There's
Right?
like, how do they not know?
Right, like it was Elios map, like identical. I was like, when they got on that map, I was like, wait, oh wow, oh yeah, yep, that's okay.
And,
They did it.
And it's like, no, we use a different shade of white, and that's not Ilios, that's Thrillios. It's a theme park themed, Rome. It's not the same.
Totally different.
Whatever it is. But I actually, those are always worth a chuckle. So anytime we got a chance to mock one of those companies, we will be doing so here on the Cavalry. The next piece of news, which is something that was near and dear to my heart. A lot of news lately, guys, is going to be Overwatch League centric because the league is really kicking up. So just again, heads up on that. This one, not necessarily Overwatch League specific, but definitely Overwatch esports related. The impact here, in my opinion, is vast. It's great. It's something we all need to pay attention to, and that's because there's a new spectator system. We've had some employees from Blizzard, like Monte Cristo, and Joa was there, and ZP in the past has gone and consulted, and I'm forgetting another personality that was vouching for it, but they've seen the new system that's going to be unveiled at the Overwatch World Cup. And so it's a brand new spectator experience for Overwatch esports, and we're going to get to see it, like I said, at BlizzCon just in a couple weeks. And I think that from Monte Cristo, if you guys don't know who that is, he's a caster in the Overwatch scene. Not the most positive of people. He will call it like he sees it. I'm not saying he's negative. He's just honest. He's brutal. And he was saying some very positive, promising things on Twitter. So for Mel, it's kind of a two-part question. One, does this get you excited? And two, do you think that if the spectator experience changes, that we're going to see a lot more people get into Overwatch esports?
For sure. I think I'm super excited. I've been wanting a better spectator mode. I've gotten a little bit more used to the one that they have now, but it's still very choppy and confusing. So I'm excited about that. I do think it'll draw more viewers. I think right now, unless you know the game and you play the game quite a bit, following an Overwatch League match is almost impossible. I'm hoping it includes team uniforms. That's my hope. That would make my life so much easier.
I really believe in my heart of hearts. So we're going to kind of get to this later, Mel. We're going to talk something about colors and what that means for Overwatch esports. But I definitely think that a part of the spectator system is going to be a little bit more of a committed color coding, meaning teams may have an outline that they stick with for the duration of the tournament. I don't know how we'll do that for the international teams. But again, I guess we'll kind of unpack some of that later. But I agree. I think that is going to be a huge piece of it. Because last week, if you heard, I talked that I watched a lot of Overwatch with my dad. And that was one of his biggest complaints. It was like, which is which? And my best advice is like, look at the bottom left and look at the portrait and look at what color that is. That's what color team, that's the player's eyes. He was like, so I got to look down there and then I got to look back up. I'm like, yeah. Kinda.
And by the time you look back up, they're probably going to switch characters.
Right. And I don't have to do that, but that's advice I give to new spectators. And it's like, dang it. It's just not. Anyway, it's just not the easiest thing, like as you're saying. So that's going to be huge. Right. Is there anything else that you're looking for from this? Is there something that stands out that I need that in the new system?
I don't know. I was telling Bobby last night that I'd really like to be able to see different views, because I'd like to see like an overhead view of like them coming into a map, and like who's flanking and who's going where and who they're targeting. I think that would be maybe not the best way to watch it, but from a learning standpoint, I think that'd be the most helpful. Like who are they focusing? Like, do they all focus at once? Do they split up? Like, I think that'd be cool. But I think they need to get to a point where they offer different spectator modes.
I don't know. I'm not going to go out on a limb here and make one of my bold predictions. This is not a 4chan leak. This is nothing I know. But what I hope is that they put in-game spectating. So you can go in-game like you can in Dota, and then you can pick which player you want to spectate. So you can spend the whole game just watching the Mercy player. You can spend the whole game just watching the Genji. Or you can control the camera too. So everyone kind of becomes their own camera person. And then in Dota, what's the best part is you can just still mute and unmute the caster feed. So I can still listen to the casters and they're calling all the action while I'm doing my own camera work. I think that's going to come out.
That'd
I think that's crucial. And if it's not in right away, it will be in eventually. I'm just saying that to me is a big deal. And that might be one of the biggest reasons this is taking so long to roll out. Is they want to include that system, which is going to be fairly robust, and that's a lot of new servers and a lot of new ways to share that information quickly across a ton of people in the client. So anyway, we're going to find out more in just a couple weeks. It's going to be funny that while we're there, Mel, we're watching it in the arena. We're not going to care what the new spectator UI is like or what the details are, but it would be, we'll find out. They may have something integrated for Arena. We may get new scoreboards and new stats, I mean,
I feel like the fact that they're announcing it there's got to be something
huge
extra for the people there.
Right. If it was just kind of like, hey, we've implemented some new camera options. We've implemented some new things. They'd just go into the patch. It would just go. This is like Hype City on Twitter. We can't tell you details. Get ready. So we will find out more. Okay. This next article is something that you brought in here. So actually, I really wanted to, because I read and I'm always like looking at things like this, and I find this article in particular extremely interesting. But it kind of is labeled "What Goes into an Overwatch Team." And it's the website Heroes Never Die, not to be confused with the best Overwatch podcast, Heroes Never Die, with Totally Drunk and Draven Dresden. And Squid, if he shows up. Hashtag called out. It's not their podcast, but the website Heroes Never Die. And it's a kind of an interview with the Overwatch League New York team's staff. And it's kind of what goes into it. So did you, obviously, I think you read it. You posted it. So talk to me about this article.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. They talk about the kind of that this is the first esport to be centralized by state or by region or whatnot. And I think that's going to help a lot. I think it's going to make a big difference in just people feeling more connected. And we've talked about that before. But it was cool to see the different perspectives of, you know, an owner versus a fan or a player. I don't know. What did you take most from it?
I guess what I took most from it is how, I mean, we don't know what the right answer is, right? Because right now it's a lot of unknowns. We're kind of going into uncharted territory when it comes to esports. And frankly, because they're trying to make it as close to a real sport as possible, I want to say it's kind of like our first soiree into sports and esports really meeting, especially from an economic and a financial perspective. But I think also from a logistical perspective, you know, there's not as many challenges with Overwatch League, but going through and reading this article and seeing how many different layers you have to think about when you're building a team, when you're trying to go for not just a roster, but of players who can play characters, but the psychology behind it. And I don't know, there's a lot. It's a really long article, but it's really worth a read. And like you said, it really just unpacks some things that I think that it gave me some confidence, because if this is just how this New York organization is being ran and looked at, you know, I bet there's a different way to do it in Boston, a different way to do it in Miami, Orlando. There's just a different way to do it everywhere.
Right.
But I'm just really impressed with this individual organization's attention to detail, I guess.
I agree. And I think it's so nice to see. I like the fact that it was such a large buy-in, because I think it makes people more serious. Like, if you're willing to put this much money in, you're going to make sure you do everything to make it work. And the same thing with the player salaries. You know, if you have to pay them this amount of money, you're going to find good players, and you're going to find players that mesh. And it's not just about who's the best. It's about who works together well and who can sub in here or there, who's more flex. Like, there's so much that goes into it. And it's nice to see that they're doing it. And I don't know much about the other esports, but this just seems very similar to real sports, which I think has always just been more popular.
Definitely. And I don't know. It's just it's kind of getting me excited to, again, see that professionalism, to see the decision-making process be so careful. It's not just, and I mean, I don't mean to poo-poo like the endemic esports orgs of the past, because those were just kind of maybe guys with an idea and a business mind, and they just solved the puzzle, and they just broke through and they built their empires, and they kind of created teams and all that. So there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, you know, now we're going to see a new era of kind of esports owners, a new era of people at the table, of investors. And I'm so excited. Mel, I mean, obviously I do a second show just to talk about Overwatch League. You know, I'm excited.
For sure. Do you know, this is something I don't know, for Overwatch League coaches, do they have any role during the matches?
We don't really know. I mean, it's probably buried in the rule book somewhere, and I should know the answer to that by now. But currently, I believe we're going to see the standard that we see like in Apex is during the match, no coach will be there. But as soon as the match is over, the coach is in the booth or right behind the players, talking about adjustments, talking about rights and wrongs. You know, Mel, I've been thinking about that a lot too, just what the coach's role is. And just kind of on a side note to that question is, I think in between those matches, because I believe, again, that's where they're going to be, is in between matches.
Right.
I think they're going to have to address psychology so much. We're going to talk about it just briefly in a little bit, but there was the Chinese coach, and there was no subtitles. I couldn't even hear him. He was in a booth, a soundproof booth, but he was snapping at a player whose head was down. You know, and I was just thinking, like, with Overwatch League coming, it's not just going to be, hey, swap to Genji, okay? Swap to Genji. It's going to counter the other composition. It's going to be, okay, this player's out of it right now. They're not focused. They're not into it. You need to get your mind in the game. I'm going to put you on the bench and put Siegel in, you know, whatever it is.
Don't make me do it.
And I think that's going to be anyway, so I think we're going to see the coaches in between matches. I really wish, Mel, to be honest, to answer the question, I want it to be like during the match, you know, like literally behind them, like screaming. But the way that
and you think of like football, they have a headset in the quarterback's So what if they could even just talk to the captain,
I think,
and like,
oh, you're onto it. I mean, I'm loving it because that's something that I would love to see. Is just like in sports, one player can talk to the coach and call the plays. I think
right,
you're
like
dead on.
they're there for a reason. They're there to lead you.
Your support, your Lucio, your main tank, whoever is always there, whoever's not going to be off the roster, and then the coach can communicate with that one player in real time.
Yeah, I think that's the best idea.
I really do. I really believe in that too. But it's just, then some things go to the coach's camera, what the coach can see. I don't know. Anyway, we can unpack that a lot more later, but please read that article. We will have it in the show notes. And this last article, another Melly, let's just give it out. Shout out to Melly. She really killed it with the agenda. I was slacking this week. I think she was missing
I was
the podcast.
out last week.
Yeah,
I was compensating.
I knew it. Like, you missed the show so much, and you're like, I wasn't here. I really got to throw up pitch in. I knew it. I just knew how your brain worked. I was like, God. But you found a really cool article that, we've talked about the fact that Symmetra is, been confirmed to be on the autism spectrum. And
good job.
What was that? What did I do?
You just didn't say autistic.
Really? Okay.
That was good.
Well, here's the next thing is that, I've mentioned on the show before, but my cousin is autistic. He is Asperger's, which I believe is a very intense version of autism. Or
mild.
Mild, sorry. I meant to say he has an intense version of Asperger's. Forgive me. Yes, because I know there's like two different spectrums on that.
Right.
So he has a very intense version of it, and he, I don't know. I just grew up my whole life. He was just there the whole time I was around. And one of my best friends at work, his name is Rob. His son is autistic, and he works for Autism Speaks, and he does a lot of charity events on the weekends. So there's definitely like a place that hits home for me with that, and I definitely donate money to different autism organizations, and I care about this cause. So when I read just the title of what you posted, I was like, yes, And something I want to call out real quick before I ask you your thoughts is there's a part in the article where it says, quote, "I'm glad that it's not something stereotypical like many representations of autism in the mainstream." And I think that I agree with that so much because kind of what we see portrayed often in media and film, and it's not that accurate, not because that case it might not be accurate, but because there's so many different ways you can show that and different ways it can kind of come to the surface. Anyway, Mel, I just thought that was a really good line that captured me from this, but talk about the article. What do we got?
Yeah, I dedicated my career to helping children and adults with autism, so that's what I love. And it is so different. There's such a spectrum, and they tend to focus, the media tends to focus on one severity or the other. It's the savants who can calculate numbers in their head, or it's the very, very low functioning. And I just thought I think Overwatch does a great job of bringing in all of these different types of characters with different kind of backstories that can relate to different people. And one thing that stood out to me that she said was, I like that it's not a storyline game or a single player game because there's no other assumptions that people can make other than she's a badass is what she said and kills people. But, it's not like they're going through this whole story of her having autism. It's just she has autism and look, she still functions and can do things. So I just think it's great that Blizzard is, connecting to, maybe it's one person, maybe it's 1,000.
But they're making that connection. They're extending that olive branch. And this is, it's part of what we're talking about. It's a movie I really had no interest in watching, but my dad came in town and he was like, "Oh, I love anytime this movie's on, man." Oh yeah. By the way, my dad does not have a Southern accent. I don't know why I just did that, but he's like, "Oh, I love it. It's called The Accountant." Have you heard of that? With Ben Affleck?
I haven't.
Okay, it's about kind of what we're talking about here, where someone has autism, but his dad works for psychological ops in the military, PsyOps, operations in the military. and he forces his son to go through like intense martial art and military training to kind of cope with his autism, because he was just like saying like, hey, the world is not going to care. We're going to, and I'm not saying his approach was correct. It's very extreme, but it was just kind of another representation that he was so high functioning, and he wasn't just Rain Man and all that, but he was still had to work at it. But he found a way to just kind of his own niche, his own happiness in the world, and despite what people think as a handicap. So anyway, it's kind of on the same topic, this warrior who came from autism, and I thought it was a good message. And my dad, whenever he said, well, for your cousin, I think it's a good message, just we can all function, and it just, anyway, so I digress. I think it's a really powerful article. And yeah, thank you for sharing. It was a good one.
Woohoo.
Woo-hoo. I guess we should give that some air horns.
Yeah.
All right, we're very good. We're good. We got some air horns in there. So
There we go.
last week we took a hiatus, and I felt like I just was dirty all week, and I couldn't be clean. So Mel, let's get in the car. We're headed to church.
The Church of Kaplan is now in session. Praise him.
Praise him.
Praise him.
Yeah, okay, all right. So let's just say it like it is, Mel. All right, I'm going to call it like we see it. Papa Jeffy Cap, praise him. He's been missing, right? He's been out of action. And he kind of came back like early October and was like, hey, being a dev is hard, and a lot of devs don't like posting, and kind of, we remember that whole conversation. But he essentially has kind of disappeared since then. And I think it's also what you had said before the show and what I said at the top of the show. It's the calm before the storm. BlizzCon is just around the corner. They unpack probably a month's worth of developer updates and a month and a half's worth of developer updates, unveilings, production, planning, speeches, PowerPoints. Like, this is where the work comes in. So it's to be expected he's not going to show up. Well, you're not mad at him, right, Mel? You're fine with it? You're cool with it?
As long as he, gives me a hug at BlizzCon, I guess I'll forgive him.
Okay, you heard that, Papa Jeffy Cap? Praise him. Make sure you give Melarina a hug, or stepdad is going to be on the case, okay? I'm on you, Cap. I'm watching you, kid.
Got this.
Anyway, what he did is he came out of the woodwork, and he just wanted to address there was some worries about team deathmatch, or really just a lack of diversity in the arcade tiles, right? That every time new stuff comes out, a lot of other stuff is getting swept under the rug. So where has CTF been? Where's 1 versus 1? No limits? Where are these modes that have been gone? And he did answer the prayers. So praise Papa Jeffy Cap, praise him. He did say it will come back. We're working on some changes to allow for modes like no limits and the 1v1s to come back more often as well. So not only will you see all those modes return, what you will see is a system that should bring them back more. My guess, Mel, is that what we're going to see is just more tiles in the cards. We're going to see more tiles. What are your thoughts on that? Uh-oh. Oh. Well, folks, the live stream, I think, is still going on. We have lost Melissa Schisler. I paused the audio recording, so we're good. So how's everybody doing out there? I don't even have Twitch chat open. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let's try to call Mel back. Mel?
Sorry.
We good?
I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden was like, you have no internet.
Okay. All right. No, we're good. Actually, the stream is still going. So what I just was asking you. Hold on. Let me see. All right. So what I was asking, Mel, was what are your thoughts on them, the system they're going to put in place to bring back more custom games more often is going to be more tile cards on the arcade screen.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, hold on.
Mainly,
Sorry, hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I like that. I think that people are attracted to different types of custom games. So they want to play one of them and they get really intense about one of them, but they don't like the others. And then when you take out the one that they like, they just stop going to arcade. And I don't think that's helpful for the game.
I think it's so funny you said that because I feel the exact same way. Is that like free for all, solo queue free for all speaks to my soul. I love it. Team free for all, I don't really care. Capture the flag, okay, I can do it, but no, I'm not going to go queue up for it. So yeah, you're dead right. Is that there's kind of usually one mode that resonates with people. I think individuals anyway, and I think that they just need to give us the ability to just have them all. Like why not all
Right.
the things?
Play what you want.
What's the difference to their server? It's still a game with the same amount of people in it. What's the rule set should be trivial.
The only thing I can think is that maybe it makes queue times a lot longer because maybe people are spread out across a lot more custom games instead of just the ones available. But who's really playing Capture the Flag anyways?
Yeah. Only at Cavalry Game Night are we doing Capture the Flag. Speaking of which, this Cavalry Game Night, I'm thinking about just doing kickball style regular. Just playing some Overwatch. Just doing competitive rule set, just playing. So mark my words. Write that down. We're going to do that.
Got it.
All right. The next thing we're going to talk about here is that I guess I'm sorry. I want to say the next thing we're going to talk about, but we should just make sure we wrap up church nicely, wrap the sermon up. So that's really it for the Church of Kaplan, is that he just made that one post. But again, that is to be expected with BlizzCon around the corner. We're going to get so much Papa Jeffy Cap, it's going to make our teeth melt.
He's not very good at not revealing things. Remember the Play Nice, Play Fair?
Yeah.
He put it all in a forum post 2 weeks before the dev video came out with the same information.
Yeah. That's fair.
So he's I just can't talk. Or I'm going to tell him something I shouldn't.
You're right. He's just being cautious. He doesn't want to, let the farm go. So, all right. Well, anyway, we will return next week, hopefully, with a little more Papa Jeffy Cap right before BlizzCon. But if we don't have any church next week, we're really not surprised. So, we'll figure it out. With that, though, I think it's time for... Well, it's the main discussion somewhere in the world. I'm doing the Rock eyebrow right now. Remember the
That
Rock?
was good.
Do you smell what the Rock... Okay, anyway. For our main discussion this week, Mel, something that is just super... we're not going to dive deep into rosters, or we're not going to talk strategy of Overwatch League, but I am and even my wife, she is super fascinated with kind of finding out what is going to go on with all these names, because we're, again, in this territory where these esports endemic esports organizations, they can't use Misfits. They can't use Optic. They can't use Envious. They have to come up with their own new branding. And in the middle of this new branding has just been a kind of really just some cool stuff that has come out, some not so cool stuff. There's been some rumors, some confirmations, but we've got just kind of a lay of the land on what names we have. So the first two pieces of news that we really want to talk about is we did have our third official name get announced. We've talked about the other two on the show. The third one is the San Francisco Shock. 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 Of course, you've got the dad jokes of shocking name. I'm shocked at what they picked. That's an
All over the
electrifying
internet.
choice. You've heard them all, right? But we have our third. So, Mel, kind of before we get too deep in the names here, real quickly, I wanted to pivot back to something we were talking. Remember the colors, the spectator colors you want for the new spectator system? All of these teams, these logos, whether it was the Shanghai Dragons, the Dallas Fuel, or now the San Francisco Shock, they've all been officially posted on the Overwatch League site. And all of them have a color palette, one dominant color and then 2 accent colors. I'm thinking that dominant color is their spectator color. So when you see them play on the screen, they're always going to have that color. And then the Shocks is orange. So that's really not really a question. I was telling you earlier I was going to bring it back to that way later, and that's where it was.
They also all have like a skin though.
Right. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously this is Blizzard's attempt to just create some revenue, right? Where every team is going to have a skin for a character, and when that team plays, you're going to want, if you're a Shock fan, even if you don't play Doomfist, you want that skin, right? So is that a good idea?
I do, but I'm curious to see if it goes further than that and they wear the skins in game. Like all of the characters have that skin on that team.
I want to tell you, my gut says every character will it'll be a recoloring, and every character, right. And like Doomfist, for example, with the Shock, he has a little white SF on his pec. They can replace that with whatever they want and change the color tone, and now you've got, no matter what your favorite team is, there's a Dallas Fuel Doomfist. There's a San Francisco Shock Doomfist. I think all the characters will have all the skins. I think that's the only way to go. I don't know why. I
agree.
If you just have like Doomfist with the Shock, 90% of the people who play in the game they're not going to get to use it. They'll probably buy it, but they're not going to use it.
Right. But then if they do wear the skins in their matches against each other, you're going to have to figure out something too. Like what if Shock and Dragons go against each other and it's orange versus red, because that's very similar.
Yeah, and like that's like the risk, I think, and hopefully the development team knows that, and so like the red in the engine is like a super bright red and the orange is almost a brown. I think they'll know. Right. They'll play with like 100 different shades of each of those colors in the game system. But you're right. I think there is some risk, but I think it's kind of like, for me, we got to try to tie it back to normal sports. When the Browns play the Chiefs, orange and red, is because we have home and away jerseys. There's no problem. But if they didn't, then the line is blurred a little bit. So, I think there's going to be a way we'll have to kind of see how that goes.
It's not as critical, though, in Overwatch as it is in, like, a football match, though. Because in a football game, you can throw it to the wrong person. In Overwatch, I'm not going to accidentally shoot a ally. Like, I might, but I'm not going to hurt him.
Yeah. And point.
They're pretty used to it because they've been playing against the same skins.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I think we have to just trust the devs. I always say that on this show. We'll just see how it goes, but we really kind of will see how they tweak it. But I think it's cool that you're asking these questions, meaning that you're kind of wondering how you're going to be able to support and how you're going to be able to differentiate and how you're going to be able to kind of cheer on the team you pick. By the way, do you have a team currently? Are you Bobby? Are you a Dallas Fuel fan already? Because Bobby likes the Cowboys.
I haven't. No. I don't like the Cowboys. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm gonna wait until since there's not one in Kansas, which we're pretty big, so there might be. But since there's not, I think I'm just gonna wait to see who's on all the teams and try to pick it by a player that I really like. Okay. Or
I like that. So instead of going more
I like
geographical,
Jake.
So
he
like Jake,
hasn't joined
wherever he ends up, right? I like your logic. I think some people will. Some people say wherever Siegel goes, I'm a fan. Wherever, I think Jake's a great example. Wherever the French fries goes, all that's up for debate. But anyway, let's turn it back to a little bit more of our discussion here. And so I wanted to kind of go over our list. There's 12 teams in Overwatch League Season 1. Boston, we don't have any rumors for yet. Dallas is confirmed as the Fuel. Houston, they have a name because the owner came out and said, hey, we know our name, we know our branding, we know our logo. We just can't talk about it yet, and it's amazing. That's what the owner said. So I'm calling them the Houston Hype only because I'm hyped for their logo, not because that's a confirmed rumor. London does not have a confirmed name yet.
Cavalry.
I know, right? The London Cavalry. Please, God, we're all fans of that show. There's 2 Los Angeles squads, One is going to be rumored right now as the Gladiators. You'd think, Mel, that'd be Immortals because they have the whole Spartan helmet thing. No. That's the opposite of Noah Winston and the Immortals organization. That's the Stan Kroenke org. There's the
Wasn't
other.
it like a lot of controversy behind it too? Like they stole that name
I'm not
in
saying,
spite of
I
Immortals.
think we're all assuming that. We want them to kind of steal it. And I said on Overwatch League Network, sure. Yeah, so, sorry, shameless plug. I said last week on Overwatch League Network that I think that if they were trying to be tongue-in-cheek here, that Immortals or Noah Winston and the other Los Angeles franchise, they go with like the bandits, the thieves, the robbers, something to be like, you stole our name, you know, and kind of send it back at them. So we'll see. The other
There's
one,
be a little rivalry with the LA teams. Come on.
I think just as big as the Boston New York feud will be, the LA feud will be big too. Unless one of the teams is bad, then you have a Lakers Clippers situation going on, and no one cares.
Which is sad.
Which is sad. Miami, Orlando. Now, I'm hearing a lot more just Miami as opposed to the Orlando link up in the name. And so the rumor is Miami Mayhem. Now, love it. Do you like that one, Mel? Does that kind of rolls off the tongue, right? The Miami Mayhem.
I do like that one. I feel like we're seeing that a lot. Like we see Miami now instead of Miami or Orlando. Initially, I think it was like Houston, Austin.
And now it's just kind of Houston. Yeah, I've seen a
Now
lot.
it's just kind of Houston.
Yeah, I've seen a lot more of that where they announce these joint city mashups, and now they're kind of like, don't worry about that. Just Miami.
Right, they don't say anything about it. They're just like, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's also the New York Excelsior. I wanted to kind of pause on that one, Mel. What are your thoughts the first time you heard New York Excelsior as an Overwatch League team?
What it reminds me of is when Tank, Bob, and I did the Cavalry Never Dies, and we made you say Slambo Sweaty Swamp Saboteurs like 82 times. Like, can you only imagine the announcer having to say, like, the New York Excelsior? Like, I don't know, it's a mouthful.
You're right. Like, Excelsior, on the push. Like, it was more syllables to say the name than it was to say on the push. It just, it's just weird. So I get you there. Okay. Philadelphia, we don't have a rumor for, but we do have confirmed San Francisco Shock, and we have confirmed Shanghai Dragons, which brings us to our last team. And right now there is someone who found a Korean patent for the file of, and one of my favorite names out of the entire conversation, the Seoul Dynasty. Ooh, that feels good.
Awesome.
It just feels good, right? And if there's one country that can say, hey, we're going to call our team Dynasty, it's probably Korea.
Right? And can we vote for like our least favorite too? Because the Dallas Fuel, I feel like is just pathetic.
Good. Okay, so I wanted to ask exactly that. Which is there any of the confirmed, which is only 3 confirmed, or rumored, which are bad, and you're feeling the Fuel just doesn't fit? Now, my gut was I hated it too, but the whole oil industry and the energy industry, I get that a little more now for Dallas and Fuel. I also like their whole burn blue, and
I like their color and their like logo and everything.
Yeah,
I guess it's fine.
I don't want to rehash my same point, but I feel like we're gonna forget the name. Once I found out Team Envious was signed to Dallas and they added Siegel to the roster, I kind of forgot about their oh so mediocre name, and all I thought about was how good that team's gonna be. Just like you think about the Dallas Cowboys, do you really picture guys herding cattle across the Texas plains? No. You picture, the player, Dak Prescott or Ezekiel, you know what I mean? And so, when I said the Houston Rockets, you don't see a rocket ship in your mind. You picture Yao Ming in the red jersey. The name will be forgotten at a certain point. I think right now.
I mean, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, so if that tells you anything.
Right. Racist. Okay, let's just keep it written out. And I just wanted to go over those. Is there a name what's your favorite then? I mean, we said Dynasty. I know you like that one a lot. It's not confirmed yet though. Are there any others that you actually like a lot and you feel like fits?
I really do like the Shanghai Dragons. I think that's the best confirmed name right now. Of non-confirmed, other than Dynasty, I think I really like Mayhem. But the others, Gladiators, okay. It's kind of predictable, I guess.
I'm a little disappointed with Shock.
Yeah.
I think hopefully like Fuel, those were both a little lackluster, but I've loved everything else. I mean, I know the Gladiators is cheesy, but there's no other real Gladiators in big sports. So I like that we're kind of getting some names that are just so unique and standalone and you know, all that. And I think it's cool. Also, Wawa's, shout out to Wawa's Bootcamp. They partner with Mayhem.gg to do a lot of their stuff, and there's been some other Mayhem clans over the years. So anyway, I thought that was, you know, a nice tie back to some video game references. Anyway, anything else? Any other thoughts here, or any guesses on Boston? We already said London Cavalry. So any guesses on Boston or Philadelphia before we move on?
Boston Buckwheats? No, I'm just kidding. I was trying to think of a B word.
Bombers.
Oh, that's a little better, I guess. Philadelphia Phantoms? That'd be
Oh
kinda
my
cool.
God, that just hit hard. That is good.
I like it.
Dang. I like that a lot, actually. Wow. That blew my mind. As soon as you said it, I was like, whoa, I love that. I hope that the Philadelphia Phantoms, you know,
Yeah.
I know it doesn't require alliteration where it's like, you know, Miami Mayhem or
Right.
San Francisco Shock. We don't need alliteration. We don't need that. But if you're going to do it, Philadelphia Phantoms, yeah.
I like it. Right? Why do you think Houston's building so much hype behind theirs? Do you think it's just not
I mean,
trademarked yet?
so it's the guy that owns Optic Gaming, which he owns a lot of stake in other games. He has a lot of esports teams, and he was on camera like I am. He was like, I can't talk about it yet, but I'm looking at it right now. And I wanted to keep our old name, and I was mad we couldn't be Optic Gaming. But now that I see this, I'm excited. I'm willing to do it. So I don't know what the heck it is, but he was just like pointing off camera going like, I did not want to have the name not Optic. And after I saw the branding and logo, I was like, it's going to be fine. And that made me hype, you know.
gosh.
So I don't know. We'll see.
So it worked.
If he's real, like if he's being real cheeky, like I said, it really is the Houston hype. And he is just, it's real hype, guys. It's real hype. I'm excited to show you. I can't talk about it, but it's hype. And sure enough, it'll be Houston hype. And you're like, what the
Right.
hell? Which I actually wouldn't mind that. But I think in like
Right.
10 years, we'll hate it that it's the hype because that is such a generational word right now.
For sure. That's funny.
All right. Well, anyway.
When do they have to have them by? Do you know?
December 6th is kind of the first exhibition match. So we're going to get branding and roster reveals between now and December. And the official season goes live January. So, I mean, I'd imagine by that December 6th date, all the branding, all the rosters are announced and out there. Yeah, we're so close. I mean, you got to think, it was announced at last BlizzCon. It's been almost a year, and it's going to happen, you know, technically before 2018.
There we go. It's real.
It's real. So, all right. Well, any other last thoughts before we go into our tournament talk?
I don't think so.
All right, then. I guess it's time for...
Wow, we got right past him here. This is amazing. We've never had in years. Years of cats.
All right, so here for our tournament talk update, just a couple brief check-ins for you all. I wanted to let you guys know that Apex Season 4 is getting down to the wire. We had our third place match complete, and so just to kind of catch you guys up, for the third place match, it was Cloud9 Kongdu, also known as the Overwatch League London roster, versus NC Foxes, a little bit of a surprise team, but they swept them. So third place goes to Cloud9 Kongdu, and fourth place goes to NC Foxes. For our grand final of Apex, it is coming up October 21st. You guys know that the time changes depending on your local market. Excuse me, hiccups. But this Saturday, the 21st, we're finally going to get to see the finish between GC Busan and Runaway. Runaway, a team that has shown a lot of success in Apex over the last few seasons, but GC Busan is a team that came from their contenders, essentially. A team that Challengers, it's called. They made their way through Challengers, and they have a chance to win the entire season. That's not a lot of teams that can do that. So definitely check out Apex Season 4 on twitch.tv/OGNGlobal on the 21st. I think it happens like at 2 a.m. my time, so that's like 4 a.m. for you, Mel, and 5 a.m. on the East Coast. Are you going to get up and watch it?
Live.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Multizord taught me something along. I usually like to try to I like to watch him live, but he was like, nah, man. I watch the VOD because I can skip all the talking and just go right to the matches. And I'm like, dang it. That's
Why didn't I think of that?
Oh, I like the talking too, but when I'm on a compressed schedule, sometimes you got to do that. So, but yeah, that was a really good event. A great season of Apex, and it's wrapping up. And we'll dive a little bit more into that on Overwatch League Network tomorrow. Sure. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, and shameless plugs. And the last thing, Mel, I don't think you probably didn't get a chance to watch this. It was just one day. It was super short. But it was called the Seoul Cup. And it was like a super match where two of the top Chinese teams came over to face two of the top Korean teams in a quick little tournament. So I won't. Unless you watched it. No? Did you watch this? No?
No.
Okay, it's
Who
fine.
won?
So, I mean, I'll spoil it and tell you that one of the Korean teams won. I will tell you it was Lunatic High. Fine, I spoiled it, all right? They won over the other Korean team, Cloud9 Kongdu, which was cool to see kind of the Overwatch League Korean roster versus the Overwatch League London roster kind of go head-to-head. But both the Chinese teams did show up. One Chinese team did not look that impressive. The other one, Miraculous Youngster. Wow. What a fun team to watch. They're a little off meta at times. They have some really talented players. We're going to talk some more about it, but Yang Xiaolong was this DPS player, and he was really fun to watch on McCree. Anyway, it was just a really cool match. And we ended up with a Korea versus Korea final.
They did better against Lunatic High, though, than Cloud9, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. I think, I'm going to say this. If Miraculous Youngster played Cloud9 in the first round, I think our final may have been Miraculous Youngster because Lunatic High, in order to go to the final, had a reverse sweep. They were down 2-0 to Miraculous Youngster. So,
wow.
Was really fun. It was honestly one of the best series I've seen in the last 6 months. I will have a link to it into the Team Liquid page, which will have a link to the VOD. I'm telling you guys, go watch that Lunatic High versus Miraculous Youngster series, and you will thank me later. It was great to watch. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get some more in-depth discussion of that as we go into more of that on OWLN. Sure. So if you guys can't hear what I'm saying shameless there. It's our new bumper. Anytime I have a shameless plug for another show, that is going to play. Or anybody shameless plugs anything. Like Mel, don't you have a book, Mel?
I do have a book.
Sure. See, I feel better now because you did something. So
you're welcome.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anyway, all right. I guess we should probably move on then. So that's it for tournament talk. For more of an in-depth dive, you'll check me out on the aforementioned show. I'm sorry if you hear my dog barking. He's being loud. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to...
Ooh, this is going off! Ooh, can I get your autograph?
Can I get your autograph? This week, our community content shout-out.
Oh, sure.
It's going to go out to Con Before the Storm. We talk about this at the end of every episode. It's part of our plugs where we say, hey, check out conbeforethestorm.com. But we just wanted to take a little bit more time here to give a shout out to Con Before the Storm and the world of podcasts. It's a community ran event for the community by the community. And it is just some of the nicest people I've ever worked with. So just from the folks in the Discord who have kind of been getting some things set up, obviously Ro, we've mentioned from Realm Maintenance Podcast. But there's a lot others that just, again, from day to day that are just out there constantly answering questions, organizing things. So a big shout out to Seraphis, Bell, from the Discord, who have been helping out a lot on the show. A lot in the Discord and answering questions and organizing the event. And a lot of stuff goes into this. And if you guys are a fan of Blizzard games, a fan of Blizzard podcasts, this is not just for Overwatch stuff like the Cavalry. There is such support for all the different Overwatch games. There's people who are putting in their own money to get incentives, to get meet and greets, to get art from other artists. And I don't know, there's just a really awesome connection I have with the staff and what they're trying to achieve here and all the work they put into this event. So please, just today, you're listening to the show, go to conbeforethestorm.com. Check out the page. Check out the World of Podcast page where you're going to see my beautiful face and the Cavalry represented in the Overwatch panel and just all the other folks who go into this and work their butts off. So anyway, any thoughts?
Amen.
Mel? Sorry, I was just a little passionate there.
No, yeah, I agree. I think it's a great community. I know they've been sharing tips for us newbies at BlizzCon and, Facebook groups for the girls to join to get the creeper photos and know who to stay away from and all sorts of fun stuff.
Is that a thing? Really?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Because there's guys that
apparently
are
there's like a roofie outbreak at BlizzCon every year.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm serious.
I'm going to say this, Mel. I'm going to tell you right now. I will get myself thrown out of BlizzCon if someone's honor is at stake. If I see any girls getting creeped on, if I see any unethical behaviors, this guy right here does not know how to turn it off. You could ask my wife. I have embarrassed her many times in public, but not for the. I'm not a bully, right? I'm an anti-bully. The moment I see someone getting bullied or someone being wronged or someone yelling at an employee, I just can't turn it off. So I'll make my statement right now that if not just you, Mel, because I'll be big, stepdad for you, and you got your husband there, which he doesn't need my help. But I'm just saying, any shenanigans going on near me, I'm going to show them. I don't say this much in the show. I'm going to show them all the years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing and kickboxing I've done in my life. I will decimate somebody for being a creeper. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got sisters.
I mean, I think you have them everywhere, but I guess at BlizzCon, they just, it's a bunch of people and a bunch of people meeting new people. Just don't take a drink from anybody.
Yeah.
Just get your own drinks or have the bartender make it at the bar if somebody wants to buy it for you.
Don't set it down. Don't set it down.
Don't set it down.
Also,
don't walk alone.
Mel,
Buddy system.
Serious question. Am I at risk of being roofied?
Well, absolutely.
You better watch my drinks because I'll be watching yours. Sorry, I went
Buddy
to
system, Slambo.
I went to a dark place there for a minute and had to pull out. Anyway, we didn't mean to digress away from Con Before the Storm and the World of Podcasts and all the staff over there. And I'm looking at the picture right now of the guy who saved my BlizzCon, and I'm going to talk about you so much. T-word. Toasty. It's Toasty from All Things Azeroth. I didn't say that out loud. We're going to talk about him more next week. Oh, I'm in love with him. I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give him the biggest hug and pick him up, and his feet are gonna leave the ground. He's like, what the hell?
What just happened?
What just happened? All right, I think we should move on. But anyway, thanks again to Con Before the Storm, all the staff over there, and thanks for inviting the Cavalry to join the Overwatch panel. We're looking forward to maybe the highlight of BlizzCon, but we will find out. And any of you guys who are coming to see us at Con Before the Storm, all three of the hosts will be there. So come hang out with us. Right, Mel? Tell them.
We'll be there. Come say hi. Sit in the audience with me. We'll have a grand old time.
Yeah. Mel's bringing an air horn. So, all right. A segment we don't always get to do on this show, but one of our last segments here. And let's get right to it.
Well.
I am
I did that a little early. I'm sorry, Mel.
Oh, patch notes. You went to patch notes, right?
Yeah, patch notes.
I thought you were skipping patch notes. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
No, I just was saying that you're going to think with Mel Arena on our show, I'm going to skip a Mercy patch note. You crazy. Okay, you crazy. No, honestly, yeah, we are on patch notes, so we don't get to do this all the time because there's not always patch notes we get to discuss, or sometimes we cover them on PTR and then they push live. These kind of hit though. Some of these were kind of predicted, some were a little different. Let's just get right to it. I'm going to summarize it, and I'm going to get your thoughts. So Mercy, Guardian Angel. Players can now glide past the target by using the jump key. And the cooldown no longer resets when Resurrect is activated. Meaning Guardian Angel, you could kind of jump quick in and out. In, out, res. In, res, out. And then also, kind of a big one, the Valkyrie, her ultimate, it no longer resets the cooldown of the Resurrect. Now it just gives you an extra charge, but again, it does not reset it. So, Mel, also they fixed Lucio. Who cares, right? They fixed the wall ride a little more traditionally.
He needed a buff.
We're not going to talk about Lucio, Mel. This is all about you. It's all about Mercy. Give us your thoughts.
Woohoo.
What's going on?
A couple things. So the Guardian Angel jump is, so it was there, kind of. Then they removed it as a bug fix, and it was awful. And then they brought it back. But now it's so cool because you can fly to somebody, and as soon as you hit spacebar or jump, you can fly to somebody else, and like you can get a lot of air with it. And you can be more unpredictable with your movement, whereas before it was just kind of like a straight shot. So if somebody was good at tracking, they could kind of see where you were going to end up. The cooldown no longer resetting when Resurrect is activated is awful. Like, you're just a sitting duck. So you go in, and unless you're strolling into res, which is never a good idea, you're strolling out to res because you got to do one or the other. And it's just, you have to be so close to res, and you're not invulnerable anymore. And now you can't Guardian Angel out. So it makes it so crucial to have somebody that can protect you, like a Zarya or a Zen or something that can protect you, because you're going to die. You're going to sacrifice yourself to res somebody else, and usually it's not worth it.
I will say that I think I don't. It's not written here. Would it make you feel a little better? I think they increased the range to res just slightly, so you don't have to be as close. You can be like a couple yards further away. Did you hear that?
I think that's only in Valkyrie.
Okay, so only during Valkyrie. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, you're right. That doesn't make it that much better, but you still do get that sensation of, like right now with the old build, it was res, pop Valkyrie, res. Now it's still the same thing. You're just not getting, as soon as it all ends, you're not getting another res up with a 10-second cooldown. You're getting one less
I
res
like
off.
the Valkyrie better. I think the Valkyrie is better the way it is now. Because before, it was very predictable as to when you were going to Valkyrie. And because you'd res, then you'd Valkyrie, and likely went to res again. And they had a lot more chance to kill you in that time. The problem with res during Valkyrie is that you're like the premier target when you're in Valkyrie mode. So flying down to res somebody is very risky on an uncoordinated team, you know? And I think with this, it just gives you that extra res that you can be a little bit more unpredictable, and when you're going to use it, it doesn't reset your cooldown. It just is kind of a bonus one. So I like this. I think it's going to be great. I think the Guardian Angel is not so hot.
That's, and I'm not surprised. I had a feeling, deep down you were not going to be like stoked about these changes. But what I want to say about them is I've actually played more Mercy this patch than I have any other patch, mostly because I feel like I'm a flex player now. that's kind of what I've been saying for a long time, which last season meant I played tank. This season, that means I played tank or mercy. Like, and I played a lot today with these new changes, and I still felt like I was pretty effective. I didn't feel like this nerf turned to the ground. I feel like, again, it was giving me a little bit less reses per game, maybe 1 or 2 less reses over the duration of a round. But my decision-making was still kind of valued the same. And lastly, when I pop Valkyrie and left and right click, it's still amazing. It's like one of the best ults in the game. I can top off the whole team. Like, no one dies when I have Valkyrie up. So
I don't think the extra res is necessary in Valkyrie.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much keeping everybody alive anyways. And if somebody does die, they're on the outskirts, so it's not as hard to go res them because you can, beam people from across the map in Valkyrie mode. So that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think I still play her and she's amazing. And I just think it's funny how much salt is poured into how popular Mercy is. And then they buff Lucio, who's always had 100% pick rate.
Well, let's kind of, to be fair, not that I'm a Lucio main or anything, but they fixed a bug, which what people thought was how he was designed, the mouse wheel bug. And so people were mad that they couldn't get these crazy speed bursts. So they just kind of got him back up to where you could do that without having to use the mouse wheel. So it's kind of weird because for the right player, it's bringing him back to where he was. But for the average player, it is a buff. So it's kind of a weird way to look at that. But he's not, it wasn't necessarily like a pure buff where he's, must pick. But, you can be.
It's always a must pick.
You can be DSP Stanky now, Mel.
Okay.
That's what Bob said. I felt like Stanky last night.
I know. All I'm saying is that Lucio's more of a silent hero. Like, he's picked in 100% of pro matches. Like, it is very rare. And he's picked in 98% across most of the levels. But he doesn't have this, like, huge game-changing ability that people can complain about. But he does. The speed boost is huge. But it's not something that's really that noticeable like a res is. So...
Yeah, that's fair. Oops, I did not mean to keep hitting that. I keep touching my Skype, and my Skype's jumping all over the place. My camera is. Sorry, I got distracted. Anyway, I did not mean to lose track. But yes, I don't know. I agree with you dead on with the Lucio. Now, Mel, you don't have to yell at me. We're going to get to something we don't normally get to on the show, but you did a great job of reaching out to the Discord beforehand, and you solicited for...
Excuse me, sir, I hate to bother you here, but may I ask a question?
Yes, you may ask a question, and our question today comes from Spider via the Discord. He's my co-host on OWLN. Sure.
A tally going?
It's just like when I get a new button, I want to press
does.
it. I want to press it. Oh, Totem does have it? Okay. Anyway, so here's the question. With the ultimate changes, which we kind of brought up last week, how do you feel about losing an ultimate if you are stunned? Some make sense, but there have been many cases popping up where something like Tracer's Pulse Bomb disappears mid-fight if she is stunned. But something like Genji, he keeps his blade out, so now they've kind of flip-flopped. Do you think they need another pass, or is it good as is? Meaning that before, if Tracer was stunned, her Pulse Bomb would still go off if she had thrown it. Now the Pulse Bomb will disappear. And they've made a conscious decision with like Orisa and Genji where some things are going to persist past the stun. So I think we need another pass. I think we need a little bit more consistency here, Spider, to answer your question, where we need to have all ultimates either disappear for the stun or not, and not have to make a decision based upon individual heroes, because then I feel like decisions will be made on picks and counter picks in the pro scene based on that mechanic. I think this has zero to little impact on the lower tiers, but for the pro scene and esports, I think it's important to have a little more consistency. What about you, Mel?
Yeah, I agree. I also think if it's something that they've already done, when they get stunned, it shouldn't affect it. If they've already thrown a pulse bomb, unless they're stunning the pulse bomb, I don't feel like it should take the pulse bomb away. And I think the reason it stuns like a Genji who has its blade out is because it lasts longer. So it's like, say Genji blade lasts 5 seconds and they get stunned for 3, there's still an extra 2 seconds that they have with that Genji blade. So it takes away from that time, but it doesn't take it all away. I think because the instant ones, I think that's their rationale, is because there's instant ones, and if you get stunned, it's instantly gone because there wasn't a time. But I don't like it. I don't think that should be the case.
Yeah, it's funny because like usually I think whether I'm right or wrong, I have an idea. I have a thought. I have like a perspective. Like with this one, I really don't know what the answer is because I kind of feel it from all sides. Like when I'm playing certain heroes, I feel like, hey, what the hell? I should still have my ult able to cast. Sometimes I feel like, hey, I got my ult off. I should get the kill for that. You know, it's just kind of there's times that there's some weird limbo with that, and I don't know. I've seen it go every which way in my own brain, and I don't know what the solution is, but I think that it's a double-edged sword. So just pick a side.
For sure.
Pick a side. You know what I mean? Just don't.
I mean, I guess if they said if it would go away, so say like Tracer Pulse Bomb, if it would go away if they stunned you as you were casting it, but not once it released from your hand, but then you'd have debates about, well, why does Tracer have such a long animation to get the Pulse Bomb out versus
and then like, okay,
so-and-so?
I'm on 100 latency and I tested it and the Pulse Bomb did go off and I was on 20 milliseconds and it did go off.
You know, you're right. There's going to be a post about how someone figured out the different, you know, the animation needs a,
and every other character's animation's a 0.25 multiplier and Tracer's a 0.10.
You know, and I'm sorry, I'm just ripping on nerds. I'm a nerd too. I shouldn't be mean, but I get it. It creates a whole new can of worms, to your point.
Right. I think anything different, you know, like our ults expending all of it right away. I think nobody really realized how big of a change that was going to be. And then you accidentally pop your Mercy ult and get hooked by Roadhog right away, and then you realize you don't have it anymore, and that stings. You're like, oh, man, I didn't even get to fly.
No, you did. By the way, I wasted Valkyrie once today. So embarrassing. Like a Pharaoh started to ult.
It's the worst.
And I was like, I'll just fly up. And I like popped it, and you don't move any faster. So she just followed me into the sky, just killed me, and I was like, ah, crap. You know, like it was embarrassing. Yeah. So
it's such a like feels bad man moment when that happens. And then you're just like sitting there looking like, did anybody see that? Did anybody see that?
No one's used to the audio call out, so no one yells at you yet. Like, hey, you wasted your ult. Like no one knows.
Right.
You know. Woo-hoo.
It's great. It's great. It's also, I was talking to Icy yesterday about when you res, you have to be like right in front of them and you have to be looking at them. So if you Guardian Angel to them and you fly a little past them, then you're like sitting there and you're like, where are you? I can't find you. Like, I just came to you.
I think you're under me. Yeah. Okay.
And they're like, are you going to res me? And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting there. Just look away for a second. Can't find you.
You saw nothing. You saw nothing. I love it.
It's fine. Those are good questions, Spider. And sorry, Totem, we just didn't have time for yours.
Yeah, that's the reason. Was time. Not the fact that Mel rolled her eyes when you asked it. So maybe we'll talk about that question tomorrow on Overwatch League Network. Sure. All right, guys. Well, I think that is pretty much going to wrap us up. All the shameless plugs I can get in one episode. Couple quick reminders. We already talked about Con before the storm, but come meet us at Blizzcon at the Hilton Anaheim Thursday, November 2nd, 2017. Again, conbeforethestorm.com. Click on the World of Podcasts for all the information. The Cavalry Never Dies tournament is going to be back November 11th at 6 p.m. Pacific. It's a free-for-all, so no team required. You sign up. And all the rules and happenings are going to be on challenge.com/CND4. You can find us on Twitter at The Cavalry Show. You can find our Discord link via our Twitch and Twitter page, but you can also type in discord.me/thecavalry. We're on facebook.com/thecavalryshow. You can email us, thecavalryshow@outlook.com. We're on twitch.tv, The Cavalry Show, live at 5:30 Pacific, sometimes 5:45 Pacific today, 7:30 Central on Wednesdays. You can find our other Zord Network podcast, Lords of the Storm, live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm. In fact, as soon as this show is over, go check out Lords of the Storm. We love iTunes and Stitcher reviews. We got a new review, but they did not leave a comment. So thank you very much for that 5 stars. And if you want to leave a comment, we will read it on the show. As far as where you can find me, I am on Twitter at SlamboVerwatch, twitch.tv/Slambo, and at the Overcasters. Mel, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch, or come find me in the Discord. We have a lot of fun there.
Tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
We're going to go, though. We're tired.
Bye.
We're clear. Audio recording done.
Woohoo. Sweet.
And stream is going to go down to now. Because thank you all for tuning into this live stream of the Cavalry. This is Slambo and Mel Arena, and we're out like trout.
Signing off.